The next step we're going to do is create div tags. The div tags are those cubby holes that hold on to the different components. We're going to have a div tag for your header, your navigation, your content, and your footer. So the first one we're going to create is a div tag for the header. Now, I don't know how tall and how wide my header is because I created an Illustrator, so I need to cut that slice out and check out how big it is. So first things first, toggling into Illustrator. If you used Photoshop, the tools are pretty much the same. I'm going to use the slice tool and slice out just my header image. You never want to slice text. That stuff gets typed in Dreamweaver, but the header image is a perfect example of something we can slice. To do File, Save Selected Slices. I only have that one little slice available, so that's all I want. And I'm going to go into Desktop, Dreamweaver Practice Project, Website, and Images folder inside the website. This is very important. If you're editing an image specifically to be placed into Dreamweaver, it has to go into this Images folder first, or it's not going to work. All lowercase letters. I'm going to call it header. Name your stuff something that makes sense because Google will find it if it's named something searchable. So header is pretty generic. If I was branding myself as Just Cooking, that's just a stock image that I picked out, I would call it Just Cooking Header. But for now, that header is just fine, and I'm going to hit save. And if I toggle back into Dreamweaver, now I can do insert div tag, add insertion point because it's the first one, ID, it's my header, new CSS rule, and I want it to be an ID. Make sure that it's an ID. So now I'm going to type pound header in here. Sometimes the pound sign is in there and sometimes it's not. So type it in if it's not and hit OK. Now the CSS rule definition for header, because that's like telling a rectangle to have text formatting. Background, I could insert that background image here, but I think it would be best to insert it here. So I sliced that header image out and I didn't check how big it was. So I'm going to toggle into Photoshop, hopefully if it opens up, and check out the size of that image. While that's happening, under margin, I can uncheck same for all, and I want to do auto for right and auto for left, making sure that this website is centered in the browser window. That's very important. It looks like my Photoshop isn't behaving very nicely right now. So I'm going to just kind of wing it for a second here, and for width, it should be around 800. If it's not, for height, I bet it's around 150. I'm going to change that once I get the height and width of my graphic, and I'm going to hit OK. Here I'm going to hit OK too. And there you go, is the content ID for header goes here. That's awesome. So let's keep building these things and then we'll insert the images in. It's a little different from what's going on in the handout, but you'll get the idea, and it's nice to see it in two different ways and the order can change. So let's keep creating these div tags. So we'll do another one, insert div tag. Now it's going to be after tag because we created the header there. And we're going to call this one navigation. You could call it Fluffy Puppy Doodle if you wanted to. It wouldn't matter. It's still going to work, but you probably should call it something that makes sense. So navigation, after tag header, new CSS rule. See, now there's the pound sign, and hit OK. And again, how tall do you want your navigation to be? So under box, we went 800 for the first one, so we better keep it consistent. And then height, I'm going to go 50 for now and see what that looks like. And then margin, remember to uncheck same for all and do auto for left and right. The dialog box is really big. And hit OK. And then hit OK again. You're going to repeat that for each of the div tags. So insert div tag, after tag navigation, content, new CSS rule, content, OK. And then again, width 800. Height, I'm going to go 500, and again, all of these are adjustable. Margin, auto for right and left. Giant dialog box, hit OK, and hit OK. And then the final one, new div tag, after tag, content, ID is footer, new CSS rule, there's footer, that's perfect, hit OK. Box, again, 800, height, let's do 75, uncheck same for all, and auto. I'm gonna go get the height and width of that header graphic, check it out in Photoshop, and then we'll start the next movie.